Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Lockdown Life After. And your host, as always, Pac-Man, coming to you live from Indianapolis, Naptown. Today, we're going to be talking about a few situations that I'd like to share with you guys. And like the topic, Lockdown Life After, this general discussion is going to be about a personal friend of mine and his struggles through going in and out of prison, being able to trying to adapt, trying to be able to adapt, and do whatever it takes to make sure that you don't go back. Because like everybody knows, the rate of a convict going back to prison is what, 80-90%. So it's kind of like a revolving door. So it's very important for you to have a motivation coming out of prison, goals, family support, loved ones, all that. A person needs all that when they're coming out. So, the person that I'd like to talk about today, and in my shows, I'll be talking about numerous people, numerous subjects. I'll be talking about a lot of things that's happened in and out of prison that I'm aware of, things coming up in the news or whatever. And as I said before, in Indiana, we have several prisons in Indiana. There's level 1s all the way up to level 5, Supermax, and then they have the death row. So, first, I'd like to talk about my boy, Little Greg, a.k.a. Hot Pistol, a.k.a. Hilltop Monte. And these nicknames has come to my friend over the years. You know, like everybody's got a nickname, but these stuck with him throughout the years, and I'll explain to you a few situations why. Okay. I first met Little Greg in Westville in around 94, 95, around 94. And at Westville Prison at that time, it was a very there was a lot of racial tension. There was a lot of gangs, politics, everywhere. You'll have that in wherever anybody's incarcerated at. You'll run across, majority, either gangs or old people or people just trying to come home, whatsoever. But it was the whites' turn to lift weights on the yard. We rotated, and the whites would work out, then we'd rotate, and then we'd walk the track. The blacks would work out, we'd rotate, we'd walk the track, and then the Mexicans and the Asians and then they would work out and walk the track. So it's the white guys' turn to work out, and when you're working out, everybody has a lookout man. And the lookout man is just to make sure that when a person's working out on the yard, that a rival, whether it be a race or a rival gang or whatever, doesn't run up on you when you're on the bench press and you're benching. You got 300 pounds over top of you, and you ain't got somebody crazy running over top of you, dropping that on you and squishing you or whatever. So I'm working out, and I asked a partner of mine who's on lookout today. And he turned around and he pointed. And as I looked over, I seen a man that weighed probably about $150 wet. He had dark sunglasses on, and I couldn't see his eyes. All I could see was, like, you know, when a person's been up for a long time, they got like the black notations around the bottom of their eyes. But when I was staring at him, checking him out, I could see the fluorescence, you know, so wasn't really familiar with him at that time. But I turned around, finished working out, and after I got done working out, I walked up, introduced myself to little Greg, and we got to be real close, good buddies. Just, you know, we clicked up, and it made both our time go so much easier, having someone to bullshit with, etc., etc. Well, as time went on, I ended up getting out before little Greg, and I got out in 96 on the first bit, and little Greg got out about the end of 97. So I get a phone call. It's little Greg. Woo, 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 woo. I'm out, brother. Woo, 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 this and that. And I said, what's your address? I'm coming and picking you up, brother. I'm taking you out. It's on me, you know. That's what you know. That's you know that's how we do it. You know, when a person's in there doing time, all you talk about is the good times that you're gonna have and all that, and talk about playing pool to play, or popping the top on a cold beer, typical things that you talk about that you look forward to doing when you get out. So I got his address, and I drove and I picked him up, and picked him up, and he came out to the car, and he's holding a big case of tapes, cassette tapes. In 96, CDs was fresh out, so everybody's banging CDs, so the tapes were the old thing. So I just happened to have a Pioneer tape player in my S10 truck. So I'm like, what's up, bro? Woo, woo, woo. Good to see you. Glad you're out. This and that. And I said, well, what all tapes you got, man? I said, listen. And first thing I'll never forget it, he pulls out Metallica. So we pop in Metallica, and here we go. So we go, and we go out, shoot a couple games of pool. We're sitting there, we're reminiscing about the old times, and he's talking to me. He's got he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I did at the time too. And we're making plans and everything about getting together and going out again, and all that. And about a week later, I give him a call, and I heard from a family member that he had violated his parole and he had already went back. So first time we get out together, first time we're able to kick it together, after a week he violates and he's already back. So he done his parole time. He got out again. First person he calls, Pac-Man. What's up, bro? Just got out. Woo, woo, woo. And I said, once again, I said, hey, bro. I said, I'm taking you out. Where you at? Only this time I brought my brother. And I wanted my brother to meet this guy that I felt was a real good dude. And he ended up being like a brother to me and my brother. So me and my brother, we go out and pick him up the second time, or after he gets out. We all go out, have a great time, shoot some pool, drink some beers, shoot the shit, have a wonderful time. Well, a couple days later, I went to give him a call, couldn't get a hold of him, got a hold of his family members, and he had went back to jail again. So this is twice that Lil Greg's done violated parole and went back within like a week of being out. Here we are. This was in the early mid 90s or late 90s, and now here we are, 2019, and this rotation has stayed with Little Greg, Hot Pistol, Hilltop Monte, has stayed like this ever since the first couple times where he'd go back. Hot Pistol would get out, he'd be out for a week, he'd be right back in. So I think he done a couple years on that tip, and about that time, my brother had my blood brother had his first kids, and then had his daughter, and then I had a daughter, and Hot Pistol got out, met a girl, and he had a couple kids as well. So I think that's probably about the longest time that Hot Pistol stayed out, was during the time that he had his two children, and they was about the same age as our kids. And first, now I'm thinking back on it, and the woman that Hot Pistol had kids with turned out to be a psycho. She kept putting him in jail. She told him he didn't have a driver's license. He was in one of them small towns outside of Indianapolis where if you got caught driving without a license, they'd railroad you. They'd knock sparks out of you. Where if you had got caught driving in the city, they wouldn't have been so hard on you, because you know how small counties are, and I'm sure that's how it is everywhere. But she put him in jail several times. He was in and out again, and his kids, grow up, and he's in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. So about February of this year, he gets out, and I tell him, I say, look, we're reminiscing, and I'm like, man, there's a pattern here, and you got to quit this pattern, because it's like 85%, 90% chance that a convict goes back to prison after being released. It's like a revolving door for some people. Some people don't know how to cope. They don't know how to elevate their mind to withstand the mental torture that comes with life. The positive and the negative. So in February, he moves in with me, and he's staying in my extra bedroom, and I take a TV in there, and a DVD player, and a radio, hook him up, got him a little dresser, and I'm like, look, stay with me, man. There's only one thing. You can't go out stealing. That was his thing. He was a klepto. He loved to steal. That was his thing. He got a rush off of it. That was his high. His parents moved to Germany, and because he was a felon, he wasn't able to leave the United States. So he was stuck over here dealing with this psycho kid's mom that he had. And by that time, his kids are grown, and all they know is what their moms told them, that his dad's just this bad guy, when all in all all the man needed was that family support, and I don't think he'd be in the situation that he is now. So he stays with me for a couple weeks, and I went in there the next morning after I gave him the TV and the radio and everything, and I said, well, all you gotta do is plug it up, put the RCA jacks in it, and watch you some movies. Kick back, get you a job. Get on your feet and everything. I'll help you. I got you. That's my bro. Well, the next morning I go in there and I'm drinking coffee, and he's sitting in the same chair that he was when I left that night, and everything in the room has not been moved. The TV hadn't been plugged in, radio hadn't been plugged in, nothing had been moved. He had just sat in that chair all night and didn't even lay out on the little fold out extra mattress that I put in there for him or nothing. And so, I'm asking him, like, man, what's the deal, brother? Why didn't you hook it up, watch you a movie or whatever? And he couldn't tell me why he didn't do that. So then he got back into the rhythm where he'd say, I'm leaving for a little bit, and I'm going, and he was stretching the truth, saying that he was going to put apps in, when all along he was going to do his thing, his klepto stuff. So he ended up, I didn't see him for like 3 or 4 days, and my wife steady checking the phone, and sure enough, he got picked up for parole violation, so he was in jail. So I didn't hear from him for about 3 or 4 more months, and then he got out of doing his, for not checking in for parole, and got out and called me, and I'm like, man, look, man, I want to help you, you're my friend, and that's a real hard thing, and, when you build a bond with somebody and you do time with somebody, it kind of becomes like a family member, somebody you can, count on for things and this and that. And, like I told him, I said, look, I need to be able to count on you if you're going to be serious about this. All I'm asking you is to split a couple utility bills with me, and help me out and stay off the dumb stuff and get on your feet. I wasn't really worried about him helping me out with the utilities and all that. My main focus was trying to keep him motivated where he could get on his feet and break that cycle. So, a couple weeks go by, he disappears again. He's gone for about a week, and I get a call from my brother. Sure enough, he's back in jail again, this time for an auto theft, and they filed the habitual on him. Well, he got caught in a small county where they're probably going to roast his ass. So now he's in a situation where he's been in and out of jail all of his life, and now he's facing going back probably for, I'd say they're probably going to give him the minimum 12, maybe 12, 10 years. In Indiana, that's 85%. So, in other words, I got a lot of different emotions going through me, with him, because, I look at him like a brother, but for some reason, he was just one of them ones that just could not cope out here. I tried to, put him up. I tried talking with him, but nothing to him about this, about the fact of his decision of wanting to go out and steal other than get on his feet. But I'm going to take this call and a shout out to everybody. If you haven't yet, hit the like and subscribe button. And I'd like to have salute to everybody out there. And until my next intro, be safe and keep them cherries out of your rearview mirror.